Hi and welcome to MJT's Wycombe Wanderers Plus, and here we are. It's Monday night, the Monday night football show. In fact, you might think it's Monday night, but no, it's not. Really, it's Sunday. You've missed 24 hours. And what's been going on this week? Well, Neymar signs a PSG deal until 2025. Did you read that, Kieran?
Also read that.
Right, just checking. Bayern Munich win their 9th consecutive title. Must be fascinating watching that football league. Almost as much fun as the Scottish league. At least they had something different.
Someone different, yeah.
Aguero apologised on Twitter for missing a penalty. Did you watch that penalty?
I did.
Oh,
and he should apologise, to be honest with you.
What a prat. I mean, that was just smug and then tripping up, wasn't it?
So a lot of people saying that you shouldn't have to apologise, but you should.
He should for that.
You should.
In fact, he shouldn't just apologise to the fans. He should apologise to everybody, including the goalkeeper, in my book.
He would rather take the penalty and would take it properly.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment.
Problem is, if you say that and then it does go in, it's like, fine, whatever. But when it doesn't go in,
it's not fine, whatever.
No.
You're just
I think it's
smug git.
I wouldn't do it myself, but
no. This is the week that Klopp gets his 100th win at Anfield. Did you know that? Yeah.
Took his time.
He did. He was on 99 for a fairly long time, I have to say. And number 5 fact for the week was Wycombe finally relegated on the final day, scoring 3 against Middlesbrough, and not the 13 that they needed, though. So that was a bit disappointing. We only got 3.
Not quite.
Yeah. So here we hit the road running. Is that right? That's not right, is it? Hit
not
something
particularly,
running.
but we'll
move.
move.
Sure what?
Nail on the head, but not really.
No. So, Kieran, how are we feeling this morning, this evening, Monday, Sunday, wherever we are? Hey, I've been drinking fizzy white wine today, so I'm a bit,
You absolute mad lad.
But it was English, so you expect it to be horrible, but it was really nice. Kieran.
Yeah.
Who is the youngest ever? So this is Kieran's quiz.
Are we doing the quiz, are we?
Oh, yes.
Starting off with that.
You get the easy ones first. These are the Liverpool questions. You should get all of these right. Okay, keep a track on how many. So, that's last week's. Who is the youngest ever goal scorer for the club? Is it Michael Owen, Jerome Sinclair, or Raheem Sterling?
I think it's Sinclair, isn't it? I think it's either him or Sterling. I'll go with Sinclair.
That's a shame because it was Michael Owen.
Was it?
Yeah, so you've already got one wrong. This isn't good enough. You'd obviously too much time at university not studying your Liverpool facts books.
In fairness, I think they're probably the bottom 3 though. So I mean, it's whatever.
Well, you're obviously doing too much stuff to do with your sort of career or something.
I'm not concentrating on Wycombe Wanderers Plus.
We bought you all those Liverpool books over those years. So who is the fastest ever goal scorer for the club? Was that Jack Barmer, Robbie Fowler, Steve McManaman?
No, I'm just not going to know this, am I?
No.
Go with the first guy because I haven't heard of him.
Jack Barmer. Well, you should have done. He's really famous.
Well, for what?
It was him.
For scoring the quickest ever goal for Liverpool. Yeah, that's why it's famous.
Yeah. Okay, this one you should know as well. What is the club's record win in any competition? Is it A, 9-0, B, 10-0, or C, funnily enough, 11-0?
The problem with these ones is that they're always from like the 1920s when everyone was crap. We'll go with 11.
You're right, it was 11-0. It doesn't give me any information about when or who against.
It wasn't recent.
I should have looked it up, really, shouldn't I? I should have looked that up. I will do next time. I'll bother to put some effort into this program.
That's really good.
We've got no football, as in Wycombe, so I'm going to have all that time on my hands to learn how to play the piano.
Do you know when it was? It was in 1974 against Stromsgodset in a European Cup tie.
I was going to say, it obviously wasn't in this country.
No. Stromsgodset.
Right, okay then. Well, that's changed my life. How about yours?
Oh, I'm loving life.
What is the most number of goals that Liverpool has scored in a league season? Is it 102, 104, or 106?
104 rings a bell. So
does it? What bell's that then? Because it's 106.
The wrong one, is it?
The wrong bell. Yeah, I think that's the bell on the ship as it goes down. I think that one. Well, you're not getting many of these, you know. And what is the least number of goals that Liverpool have conceded in a league season? Is that 16, 17, or 18?
16.
You're correct, 16. So how many actually did you get right?
What, 3?
1, 2, 3, I think.
Yeah, we'll take that, considering they're all from the 1960s.
Yeah. So we're up to 3. Come on. Thank you.
This is technology.
I can't get to my other book.
Could just do 5 more Liverpool ones. I'm more than happy to do that.
No. We're going to study the English Premier League next. So your 5 questions on the Premier League, when this works. Do you know what I love about this stuff?
So you can't use it?
Yeah.
No. It's amazing now you have a YouTube channel.
It's amazing.
Yeah, wouldn't have thought it'd ever happen. And now here we are.
Which player assisted Aguero's injury time title-winning goal? Is it?
Yeah.
Shall I bother even looking that one up?
Do you need to look it up? I don't know.
Well, I'll check, and you're right.
Yeah.
Just if you sound a bit cocky, like you know the answer, that doesn't mean you know the answer. It just means you sound
extremely cocky with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Which Australian player has the scored? This is well written. Bad English. I thought mine was. Which Australian player has scored the most Premier League goals?
Tim Cahill.
No, Viduka. Mark Viduka.
Yeah, fair.
Cahill
had a few.
Which player holds the record for the most appearances in the Premier League at 653 games?
Ryan Giggs.
No, Gareth Barry.
Oh yeah.
Come on. This is.
It should be Giggs.
You tired?
It's a Sunday evening.
Which player holds the record for the most consecutive Premier League games to have scored in?
Jamie Vardy.
The record is 11.
Jamie Vardy.
You're right. How do you know that?
Because it was very famous when it turned up. That one.
Okay. And which defender became Britain's most expensive transfer at the time by moving from Leeds United to Manchester United in July 2002?
I tell you what, I'd be awful on Mastermind, wouldn't I? Because they have to finish the question before you can answer. It's Rio Ferdinand.
You are correct. So that was all in all, that's 3 there as well. So your total score, Kieran Turner, is 6. Thank you. Now you go walking off.
We'll take that. Do I go walking off?
You walk off, yeah.
I'll see you later. Get someone else in.
This doesn't work. I can't get my pad to work very well. It's grown old. I'm going to have to work
similar to the user.
I'm going to have to try and work. It's nothing to do with the user. Thank you very much. Okay. Of course, the next thing we've got to come down to is that very sad, sad day when Wycombe said goodbye to the Championship.
Where is everybody on?
They're dead, Dave.
Who is?
Everybody, Dave.
Fulham,
Everybody's dead, Dave.
West Brom,
Everybody's dead, Dave.
Sheffield United,
They're all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave.
Sheffield Wednesday,
Everybody is dead, Dave.
not Rotherham,
Gordon Bennett, yes, Chen, everybody. Everybody's dead, Dave.
and Wycombe.
Dead, Dave. Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave.
Wait. Are you trying to tell?
It's the end of the season. Was it a sad day?
It was a sad day, but it has to be said we were very proud of it as well. I actually did some research beforehand as to how many of the last 5 seasons would we have got relegated in had we got this number of points. And we would have stayed up in 1 of the last 5 seasons with the points and the goal difference we had, and we only stayed up on goal difference on that one.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is quite interesting. Consider it must suggest that the 4 teams at the bottom this season were crap. But in saying that, I think at Wycombe were only crap for the first 6-7 games.
7.
And then 7, and then we started getting places. We started putting in some performances, and then second half of the season, I put us mid-table. I don't know what the actual table would suggest if it was just the second half of the season, but we beat a lot of
Bristol
teams.
City would have been below us, that's for sure.
At least Derby would have done.
Derby would have been
definitely.
below us. Rotherham would have been
Probably
below
were.
us.
Yeah, second half of the season we would have stayed up.
Yeah.
Which is quite honestly, second half of the season, if we double the points to get us a full season's worth of points,
We were average.
we're probably mid-table.
Yeah.
We're probably mid-table.
We were Stoke.
So it is a shame. It is a bit of a shame because, a few of those contentious referee decisions that we had towards the beginning of the season, I know we probably don't want to blame it on that. However, there are a few that what ifs maybe we could have stayed up. I mean, remember, if we had 2 more points, if we had kept our lead against Swansea, per se, then who knows what may have happened.
If we hadn't let the goal in against Rotherham,
yeah,
there would have been a point.
all of
And
these
Rotherham, yeah.
Rotherham would have dropped a few. But what can you do? We've had a very fun season, I think. And
It's
we've
been
beaten a lot of
interesting.
decent teams.
Because you could say, well, it's been a bit disappointing because we haven't been able to go to these games. On the other hand, you could be depressive and say, it would have been great to go to all these games. I did go to 2 on the plus side. I did get to see them play. Here's my brain. I can remember playing Stoke. I can't remember the other game.
You lost to Stoke 1-0,
Coventry?
I think.
Was it Coventry?
Something like that, yeah.
I know we lost, but I did see 2. And the other thing was we got to see all of the games, including the away games, because of I wouldn't normally have seen any of them. So I got to see all the games, which was good. And also, let's be frank about this. Had it not been for COVID, there is a good possibility we would not have gone up in the first place. Peterborough jumped up and down at the time, saying, it's not fair. And sure, it wasn't fair. Nothing was fair at the time, but they had to have a system of working it out. And out of all the systems, that was probably the only one that you could pick that didn't work on the theory, well, let's guess. So in the end, we did go up because chances are it was because of we got to see all the games. I did go to 2, and it's a damn sight better going to 2 and watching them all than not seeing anything. So in the end, yeah, I'd go for definitely. I'm glad we were up there. I think to suggest we'll just go straight back up after the year in this league is a bit dodgy. There's a lot of big clubs in there now. From I mean, the 4 in the playoffs in the championship, in Division 1, your Oxfords, your Sunderlands,
Lincoln.
Blackpool, you're going to have 3 of them knocking around again. You're going to have your Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, I'm sure will have a clean out. Rotherham come down and will be the same, will be better, I would imagine. It's going to be tough. I mean, Sunderland and Portsmouth, yes, Portsmouth failed again. They always take one of those top places and fail. So
Doncaster normally do all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be as simple as, well, we were good, so we should be able to get up. It won't be that easy. All teams have said that.
I mean, our team will probably look quite different again next season anyway, won't it? I mean, there'll be no Knight in there. Got to remember that Jacobson's going to be 34, 35 at this point.
I was going to go. We're going to go through this in just one. In fact, no. Let's do it now. Okay. Have you got, by any chance, the Wycombe team on a video?
On the video.
This is why you're on this program, Kieran.
Because
I have trouble opening and closing a book that's on Amazon Kindle or whatever it's called, whereas you just okay, let's go through them. Goalkeepers.
So we're giving everyone ratings, are we?
Well,
or just having a little mention,
whether we think they had a good season, bad season, or is it time to sell, get rid of, end of, who do we keep? Okay, let's go for goalkeepers.
So we'll start with Allsop because he was our goalkeeper towards the beginning of the season.
He won an award, didn't he?
Did
he? Yeah. I'll find that. But yeah, he won a player of the season. He came second, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, towards the beginning of the season, he kept us within touching distance of a lot of those games, didn't he? Because we lost quite a few by 1 or 2, and a lot of that was down to him. So yeah, absolutely no complaints from me about him. He was absolutely fantastic, and was our standout player for the first half of the season, especially.
He was the he has in the championship. He has the highest rate of stoppers. You know that he stopped more,
the highest save percentage
than any other manager, any other goalkeeper. Yeah, made more saves than anybody. I think that's quite interesting.
It's not surprising though. I don't think would have had a lot of shots against him, but he kept most of them out. Then fair play, obviously.
Another bit of interesting information just before you go any further, and that is Stockdale has just signed for another season.
Well, we might as well mention Stockdale, mightn't we?
Yeah.
I think he kept, is it 9 or 8 clean sheets in his 17 games he played in the championship, which, I mean, if you're keeping clean sheets in half your games, then that's absolutely fine, fantastic, especially for a team near the bottom of the table. So he was, from our point of view, or my point of view at least, essentially near enough the same as Allsop. There wasn't too much difference between the two goalkeepers. They were both really, really good. Never made glaring errors.
No, none of them made errors. I thought what was interesting is Stockdale was slightly different in his play. That was for sure, I thought. He seems to whip the ball out of the air. There's no fumble or any fear of a fumble. I think
he's very experienced though in saying that.
Yeah, but he just seemed to. The ball was coming, and suddenly it's in his hands, and you think, where did that come from? Where how did he get that? Which is a bit strange. The other thing I thought was he uses his feet to save the ball a lot. Allsop is a much better diver across and picking it out the top right-hand corner. And for some reason, Stockdale didn't have many of them to do. So it was a bit difficult to sort of, judge that. But neither of them had a problem, did they?
No.
And I feel sorry for the one that doesn't get in the first team.
And quite honestly, the only reason that Allsop probably didn't get in after he was out for a few games was because Stockdale was just as good, and they probably had. He probably just didn't want to disrupt it too much. Ainsworth didn't want to be chopping and changing goalkeepers because that's never a good thing. Because as soon as one of them makes a mistake, then they're completely out of it. You don't want that sort of pressure on a goalkeeper. But yeah, as you say, they were both absolutely fine, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So we keep both in the hope that neither go away.
Yeah.
I can't find the results for the award.
No doubt. Don't worry about it.
No. I know who got all the top awards, and that was our friend that you mentioned at the back, who's going back. Who'll probably go back to Leicester.
Oh, Knight, what got the players?
He won the players play, and I think
Mehmeti got young players. I know that.
Yeah.
Defenders go to first one it says here is Grimmer. No, you're probably not the biggest fan. In that back three, he looked as solid as anyone.
I'd have him in the back three, and working on, if that's how you're going to play it, I see no reason. I've seen enough games this season, in fact all bar one, to know he's as good in that back three. He does a job as good as any of those other teams I've seen. I mean, Wycombe's back line, have they made any howlers? He's made a few mistakes, I think.
There was a few in the middle of the season, wasn't there? There was a few errors, but not huge.
No, in the job that he's doing now, the job he's been given now, solid as a rock. I'd keep him for that. Yeah.
And in saying that as well, when we're back in League One, I mean, first half of the season in League One last season, he was really, really good as a solid right back. Obviously, we know in the Championship he wasn't as solid, but who's to say he can't be as solid in League One again if we do have to play a back four? But I don't know what Ainsworth's going to decide to do.
No.
Whether he'll keep it or not.
So, we keep him.
Jacobson, one of our better defenders this season, I think, from the games I saw.
Jacobson.
I thought he was decently solid most of the time.
He's on his last stretch. I don't think it's worth the sale simply because he's got another year in him.
He's got another year.
You're not going to get anything for him.
No. It's not like worth selling because you're trying to cash out on him.
No.
It'd just be to free up squad space more than anything. But then we bought a left back in January, didn't we?
Yeah.
So there's no need to sell him or anything like that. I think he had a good season.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
I think he was good. Stewart.
He's knocking on a bit as well.
He's not knocking on a bit. He's not that old. It's just he got injured a lot.
Mm.
Is he old?
I'd look at if
he's 29.
Yeah, what you can get in instead of, I would seriously look at replacing Stewart.
It depends on his injury history, doesn't it? I think because there was a decent chunk of the season he was out, and you want your centre backs to be kind of ever present and solid and that sort of thing.
I would.
I don't know whether you need to sell him though. I'd say it's a little bit harsh.
Right. I would.
Why?
It depends on who you've got instead of, but I think he's
The number of centre backs we're going to need if we do play a back three, then I think
who we
he's worth
got then.
keeping.
Centre backs, Tavazzoli.
Tafazoli next, yeah.
Is that,
Charles, obviously, not really.
no, he's got.
And then Knight, who obviously will go as well.
Yeah.
So the two real centre backs at the moment are only Stewart and Tafazoli.
In that case, we need to
And
buy
Grimmer.
one.
We do need one, yeah.
So you got to keep him, really.
Yeah. There's a point of investment. But as for Tafazoli, he really impressed me in the games he played as well.
He's been good. Yeah.
Yeah. The assist he got against Middlesbrough as well, it's worth mentioning, for Fred's goal. It was
He
really
looks
great pass.
he looks a quality centre back. He's not just there to stand there and put a boot in, is he?
He's a ball playing centre back.
Yeah, and you don't get many of them. See, Stewart isn't, is he? Stewart is.
He doesn't look as comfortable on the ball.
He can kick the ball out, and he can head the ball in from a corner. But he's not a footballer, is he?
No.
Tafazoli.
The problem is in saying he's not a footballer. It's like there's a lot of Wycombe's play that maybe doesn't allow him to express his kind of footballing qualities as such. But
recently there has been. Do you know, I mentioned in my little vid after the game, hey, do I sound really young?
no.
I mentioned that, do you know how many Wycombe crosses there were in the first half? None.
No.
None. Wycombe did not kick the ball in the air in the hope that there was a head on it. It was all along the ground, fast. I don't mean it wasn't coming in from the sides, but it was coming in on the ground as a pass. They were not coming in to the back post in the hope that. And so Stewart's big boot forward, no, we need a footballer in that place. And that's why I think maybe a bench, but I think he's going to have to seriously look for a couple of centre-backs in the summer.
Well, yeah. I mean, just strength and depth more than anything.
Which is all well and fine, but it's what he's going to have to get rid of to be able to buy. So,
I mean, in saying that, there's a lot of. I mean, we have our B/reserve team, don't we? There's a lot of the names on here are players from there.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of, but yeah. We'll move on to Knight. I mean, for his age, absolutely class, wasn't he? And for
amazing
being put into.
Any chance of keeping hold of him? I doubt. Because they're going to want to play him in the Championship, aren't they?
Leicester would, yeah, because he's at least Championship level, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't see them letting us have him in Division 1. They want him to practice for class, don't they?
Yeah.
They want him playing top teams, not little teams.
If he's proven at the age of, 20, 19 sort of age, that he can put in performances like that, then there's no reason to have him in League One, is there?
No.
It's just a shame, but it's just how it's going to work, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so he'll be good.
McCarthy.
It took a while to get going. Which came as a bit of surprise. But again, in that back three idea, he works as a runner up the wing, doesn't he? And he got his boot in as a defender. Yeah.
Last 10 games of the season, realistically, has been Wycombe's, stand out. And so it's probably why we may be a little bit biased towards saying that Wycombe has been really good. First half of the season, he did struggle, didn't he?
But it's the style of football, wasn't it? It was who you had up front. They were lost with.
There's nothing up front.
Nothing up front, just a big boot. None of them stood out at the back because they all, just kicking a ball forward, it wasn't the same as in Division 1. It did, because there were often players to pick the ball up when you booted it forward previous. But these back lineups in the Championship just squashed that whole idea. It just didn't work.
They do at this level, don't they?
And Ainsworth was good enough to know it wasn't working, but needed that break, the international break. He needed that to train the players to play in a playing a back three. We discussed that last week, is not easy. And you can't just tell the players, right, what we're going to do is we're going to change it. Back three, all you do is run up the wings. We're going to have three at the back, right, out you go. It doesn't work like that. And he had the 2 weeks to train them, and it made a whopping difference. And I hope he carries on. He did change it for one game against Bournemouth and played with the back four.
Which
and it
evidently
again
works.
worked against Bournemouth, and it was right to change it against Bournemouth, depending on who you play. So I'm pleased he changed it. Not many managers swap their style in any game. Most managers stick with what they got, which is often a failure.
Absolutely.
But Ainsworth deserves a medal for that, I think. People say, somebody's written, should have done it earlier. He couldn't. They got it. Otherwise, we'd be slaughtered if they didn't know how to play and know what they're doing. I mean, what do they think Manchester City do? I mean, their training is they have a pitch that's painted in squares to learn what is their square. I mean, it's not just simple go out there and play football. It's not like that at all. So, okay, keep going through the team. We're half an hour through. Goodness sake, whole things do on Tottenham, and I was going to do Rotherham and stuff, but I can't. I'm going to have to pick one or the other.
Go on to midfielders. So, first is Gape. Bless him. Been injured pretty much the whole season.
Got to be sold if you can get anything. At least not pay his wages.
You're not very sympathetic, are you, with this?
Sympathetic. It's
what happens if Gareth watches this before you ask him to come onto the show, and he's like, he wants to sell all our players, so what's the point?
I'm sorry, but it's the midfield where I feel is the weak point.
It's because he doesn't stand out as much.
I don't think Gabe he's always injured.
Yeah, of course. And you do have to take that into account. When he does play, I've always thought he's been very good.
But he's always injured.
Probably compare him to like an Oxlade-Chamberlain kind of thing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like, great, but always injured. And so if he does have to be sold, then so be it. But
we're not going to get anything for him, but it means you don't pay his wages. And he earns, I think, £2,000 a week. It's a lot of money for somebody who's never on the pitch.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. Wheeler.
Yeah, good.
Decent.
Yeah.
Very decent.
Sometimes he disappears in a game, but that isn't because he's not working, but he's covering an area and he's solid. And they
sometimes the midfield for Wycombe does kind of just like, you don't really notice them a lot. No. They are doing stuff, but you don't really notice what they're doing.
Yeah, well, they're taking players out. Yeah. They're battling in there and ruining the midfield of the opposition. And watching it on a screen, you miss that. You don't see what's going on around the pitch. And I think people often forget it's not where the ball is. It's not when you've got the ball. It's when you haven't got the ball. When you're in a back three, when you're attacking, you're in a back five when you're defending. And the midfield, you're going to have the guy in front of that back five defending. And then when you're attacking, what Wheeler does, obviously, is he's the one supporting. And he's got a good head on him as well.
Special mention because he got the goal in our first win of the season, didn't he?
He did.
Sheffield Wednesday.
He is a header of the ball, and he's one of the best, actually. I mean, I think he might actually be the best, other than the Mr. at the back who you mentioned.
Tafazoli?
No.
Knight?
Stewart. I think, yeah. So, yeah, he's good. I like him.
Very decent. Patterson. You never really see. All right, Mr. Sympathetic over there. His style of play doesn't suit Wycombe. This is his problem more than anything. Never get to see him too much either. Like he'll come on for a bit. Probably not do a lot, and then they'll just continue for a few games.
We
and then
need
he'll kind of go
somebody
missing.
on. We need people on the bench, but do we need him?
Maybe
if
not.
He comes on, you don't think, oh, good. You think, oh dear, we're going down in.
I think it's the most typical position that kind of players can go missing, or they can just not work in a team is a number 10. Like there's a lot of number 10s who just don't cut it at clubs, but they'll find one that they're really good at. Hence why we probably got him to begin with, because he must have been very decent for his last club. But yeah, it just doesn't really suit the Wycombe style, unfortunately.
No. I think we got enough in midfield. I'm not sure it's the strongest, but we do have enough without Patterson.
Yeah. Bloomfield.
Well, he knows he's finished. That's the end.
He said, didn't he?
Yeah, that was his last game.
Yeah.
I'd worry if I think fine coach. I do hope they never pick him as a manager.
Why? What the thing is, what's he shown to suggest that he can't be the manager?
Well, he's got to go somewhere else, and we got to find out.
Fair. Yeah. Problem is, I think a lot of the decision will also be down to Ainsworth, because I think he'll have a big say in it. Considering how long he's been here.
Ainsworth was a really big risk at the time, and Wycombe had nothing to other than, and they took a blind of a risk that paid off. But Rooney for Derby didn't, and now they're stuck with a very expensive mistake. And I think Bloomfield might be, but don't risk it. Send him off somewhere to find out first.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It could be the best thing ever, I might add, as Ainsworth has been. But he was a risk, and it turned out a real bonus. But you can't do it with Bloomfield. Preferably find out.
That's fair.
It's good. They're trying to train him up for it, I might add.
Yeah, essentially. I don't know whether they'll. Don't know where you can exactly send him though. You can't really send him anywhere to be a manager. That's not really how it works. It's kind of like you can't like loan out a manager. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to him. Horgan.
He's been really disappointing. He's the most expensive player on that football pitch. It's a shame. I don't think we could sell him and get our money back, because I would, because he's just too expensive for us. £10,000 a week, and he comes on as a sub for 5 minutes to waste time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether it's down to the scouts not really doing a decent enough. Well, if they didn't do a decent enough job on him, whether Horgan himself has been the problem.
Well, he must be. He must be.
The first few games, you could see that he had something else about him.
Yeah.
That
you could see he's got the talent, but where is it?
Yeah, we haven't seen it at all, have we? It's just been
maybe in Division 1, but you can't wait to find out. I mean, maybe he will find out with the break and with a few games that don't matter, maybe. But
the problem with him is that there are some players that have to win you a few points during a season. I'm not convinced he would have really won us any. He definitely scored in that game against Brentford right at the beginning of the season. Apart from that, I can't remember him scoring.
No.
So yeah, disappointing.
He's my biggest disappointment. Is my biggest disappointment. Yeah.
Thompson. First half of the season, I thought he was up there with Allsop. I know what you think of him in the second half of the season.
Thompson, simple. He gives free kicks away because he's too slow. He chases players and trips them up. And this last game, he could have lost us the game in the first 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes, which is what 1/30th of the game, was spent in Wycombe's half defending a dangerous free kick, a corner, and a throw-in pretty close to our box, pretty high up. We spent 3 minutes trying to get out of our own half because Thompson stuck the boot in a dangerous place. And he does that every game. He gives free kicks away all over the midfield, even in dangerous places, because he makes that poor decision of going in when he doesn't need to. And I'm afraid, I think you can buy a thug midfielder who makes better decisions than Thompson. He's on there to be Mr. Rogue, isn't he? And trip him up is what he's on there for. But the trouble is he never wins the ball cleanly. He just always takes the player down. How he doesn't get sent off because he's very good at just giving free kicks away without getting red cards. They're just little trips, but he never tackles for the ball. That's unfair. He does win the ball, but just too many free kicks in dangerous places.
I feel a little bit sorry for him because, as we know, Wycombe midfielders aren't really given the license to, kind of pass the ball around too much and play keep ball. I think he's got a decent amount of quality, and as I said, I think he was one of the better players towards the beginning of the season. And I think in League One, he would be fine as
in League One.
I think in League One he'll be fine as our centre mids because he was last season. Last season I think he'll be fine. Might be an area to improve on if we get up to the Championship again.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd say keep him for next year. See what happens next year.
Yeah.
You can't throw everybody out. That'd be a big mistake.
McCleary
improved with the system we've got. He's started having a few goes, which is to start with. It was that I just kept thinking, why don't you have a go? Why not shoot? He's good as a what's the other young guy that we got? Mehmeti. He's a good replacement for the two of them, to pick one or the other. Mehmeti first, then possibly him, etc. He's a good, I'd keep him. He doesn't cost much.
No, I mean you can tell I know he's older now, but you can tell he was Championship kind of level, can't you? Like in his prime, he would have been
better than Horgan.
Yeah, Fred.
Been brilliant since given that wing as a winger instead of a midfielder.
Another one who's shone as a result of that back three.
Been brilliant as a defender for our friend Mr. Left Back Jacobson, because Jacobson's not fast, and I've been really impressed with the amount of work he has been prepared to do on that football pitch. I think he runs around the most out of any of the players, defending and attacking.
I think this past 10, 15 games, however long we played this back three, with Fred has kind of shown why we kept him over Paris. Yeah. Because Paris couldn't do what Fred does now. Paris could be potentially better at attacking, but for this system to work, he would never have been able to do that. Fred's been absolutely fantastic in this system. So arguably our best player in the last 15 games? Up there, top three at least, I would argue. Adeniran.
Okay as a sub.
I think he can start a few games as well. I've been decently impressed with him.
He's safe. He's safe.
Yeah.
He can run with the ball.
And to be fair, the kid is 19 as well.
He doesn't make any clangers, and he doesn't take too many risks, and he's safe in there.
That's fair. I think I remember he is 19 as well, and he can realistically only get better.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll be able to really keep him for next season. Potentially Everton will want to keep him in the Championship, won't they?
I think we'll lose him. Yeah,
the lone player, isn't he? So supposedly we will, but we will see. Ep27.
what a shame we didn't start with him fit.
Very much so. You can probably tell what Gareth's intention was now with bringing him in at the beginning of the season. And if he had stayed fit, then, who knows where we would have been.
You said before that, not on this programme, but you said to me before that he is not Akinfenwa.
No,
He's not the same at all, and he's not. He's better.
Akinfenwa's not going to score from 30 yards out, is he?
No, this guy's got good feet on him. I know Akinfenwa had as well, but this guy isn't the same type. No. The ball is not being thrown up to him. The ball is being passed to him. He does win the ball. He does keep the ball. He does pick up free kicks in good places. He picks up corners that he should never get. And you don't know what you're going to get every time. And I like him. I really do.
I think he's a perfect Wycombe striker.
How long we keep him for will be interesting.
I think we'll be all right because, as I say, I think he's a perfect Wycombe striker. And I think a lot of Wycombe players don't suit other team styles. Like I don't think he could do really tick-a-tacker. You have to give Ep27 a good 5 or 10 seconds either on the ball or chasing the ball. He doesn't do it snap like that kind of thing.
No, it always looks like his feet are moving about 5 seconds behind his brain. He always looks like he's going to fall over, but he doesn't. Yeah. He looks really awkward. But
absolutely,
it works.
So you have to give him time on the ball. He can't do it snappily.
He looks clumsy, but he's never clumsy. He looks a really strange footballer.
I think that'll kind of ward teams off of really going for him, which is only a benefit for us, isn't it?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's good. We're not going to lose money through him, are we?
No. As I say, with Fred probably up there, the top 3 players of the last 15 games.
Absolutely.
Kashket. Great at the start of the season, but went off the ball, didn't he?
Well, it's just a different type of play. He just sort of it's his need to go over the line type. He's got to be close. There's no shots from outside the box type. He's got to be close. He's got to be at him. He's got to be really tight. I don't know. I'd be interested to see him play with Ep27. I want to say no, but it'd be nice to see him have a go with him, and we haven't seen him play with him. I think I don't know what they'd be like as a sort of, little and large.
I think you'd struggle to find, because if you were to get rid of Kashket, you'd want to bring in someone similar, I'd imagine. I'm not sure you could get someone too much better without taking a risk. And so I absolutely would keep him. This problem with me is I'm probably too nice, and 2, I'd probably keep most/all of them.
Well, I think out of the strikers, you see, I think he'd be the one that I'd keep with Ep27, because I know who else you're going to name, and you can't get rid of all of them.
Well, I was going to name Musquet, but obviously he is not staying.
He's not a Wycombe player, is he?
Oh, as in he's on loan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And he's been absolutely fantastic, so he's definitely not staying.
I would if I could, because he's
no
great.
doubt. Yeah.
But I can't see him being around.
No, another one from Leicester, who is 23, and he is not staying.
He's not a Division 1, no.
No, some of the goals he scored, like the one against Swansea, I think got goal of the season.
It did.
And rightly so. Like,
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. If he's going to do that in League One, then he has no right to be in League One.
And I can't see us buying a player as good as.
No, you won't
Couldn't
get one
afford
as good. Akinfenwa.
No, he's gone.
Yes, but he got his goal, and that's all that matters. That's all
Yeah.
I care about with him.
Yeah, and I just want to say that as much as I kept saying in my thing, no, please don't play him. Fine, he got his goal. I'm really pleased for him, and he's done a lot for Wycombe, and he is a part of the reason we enjoyed watching Wycombe in the Championship. And so I think Wycombe owe him a lot. I think he's entertained us and been really good, and I never realised what a great footballer he was until he came to Wycombe. I just thought he was a big bloke that got in the way. Well, I didn't realise how good he was actually when he was younger. Now he can't kick a ball without getting a muscle injury. So, you know, he's enjoyed himself, I hope, and we've enjoyed having him at Wycombe. But thanks very much.
Yeah, in terms of, like what players have done for Wycombe as a club, he is up there with Bloomfield, in my opinion. As for like longevity and having just such an impact on like the fans' kind of morale and all that sort of thing, I think
he's been a great
fantastic.
general in the dressing room, etc.
Absolutely.
And one on the football pitch for the fans. Let's be honest, he's been fun to have at Wycombe.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely loved him. And finally, Mehmeti. He could keep him
as long as we can and sell him for a fortune.
I was going to say he could be one that we might be lucky to keep.
I think we'll have him next year, and that'll be the end of that. That's what
he'll be too good for League One, won't he?
Yeah,
he's been class.
There is somebody you've left out, of course, which was old Buddy Boy that I'm not into.
Well, Samuel, but he hasn't played for goodness knows how long.
He came on in the last game for 5 minutes.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I wonder whether that was Ainsworth saying, "Here you go, off you go. You have your last 2 minutes for Wycombe as well." I wonder, because I can't see him staying.
Yeah, I mean, we know what he can and can't do, and the problem is what he can't do is score goals. And he's a striker, so I mean, to put it simply, it sounds so obvious to say, but what he can do is he can run, he can win free kicks, he can close down defenders, all that sort of thing. But he doesn't score enough, unfortunately.
Okay, that is Wycombe, and so we stop there. Wycombe season. You can write what you think about Wycombe. And we thoroughly enjoyed the Championship. We will have one other topic now. I've got about 6 down here, but that's been a long time. But we have to do the next one. I did say, I know somebody's going to be watching this for the next topic. But you can just watch one or the other by ticking underneath. You can see where you hit the time and stop it there. Okay, just stay still, Kieran, so I can put the bit in the middle.
Where is everybody on?
They're dead, Dave.
Who is?
Everybody, Dave.
Fulham.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
West Brom.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
Sheffield United.
They're all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Everybody is dead, Dave.
Not Rotherham.
John Bennett, yes, Chen, everybody. Everybody's dead, Dave.
And Wycombe.
Dead, Dave. Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave.
Wait. Are you trying to tell...
It's the end of the season. Okay, there you go. That was easy. 53 minutes. That makes my life easy. Now, I don't know how long this bit's going to last, but we'll do Rotherham and the rest next week. Okay, the rest Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm going to talk 2 minutes about how Derby escaped.
Lucky twats.
Lucky twats. Is that what we call next week then? Lucky twats.
They are, though.
Yeah, they are. They don't deserve to stay up. And Wayne Rooney talking about getting ready for next year, and I'm thinking,
No, you're not.
can't Derby afford to get rid of him then? We got to do Spurs. So a complete different topic. Really, it's where are Spurs now? Okay, they've got no manager. They're under pressure with their finances. Kane is an uncertainty, and fans aren't happy. It could have been a really good time right now. It could have been. Can you imagine? They'd got in the top 4, won the League Cup, and Levy hadn't done any daft things. Could have been hunky-dory, in fact. But what they have now is a bit of a problem. Now, the manager, I want to talk about Mr. Manager. Big mistake in getting Mourinho. That was Levy's choice. He wanted a name. He wanted a change. And what Mr. Manager just does there is Mourinho was brought in to buy an instant winner team. They'd had their guy that had taken years to build up a team and get to the final of, but it didn't work as far as he was concerned. What he wanted was instant success. So picked a different type of manager for instant success. Now, and that's what Mourinho does. I mean, Mourinho does not build football teams. He buys them. Always done that. That's simple. That's not putting him down. That is the type of manager. It tells you.
It's just the way it's happened.
Yeah. So how do Spurs pick their next manager? That's the first topic. Okay. Now, first of all, look at the market. Who's out there?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. They're in trouble. Spurs are in trouble. There is not a lot out there to pick. Okay.
Everyone's signing contracts.
He's in trouble. And if you pick the wrong one, can Spurs really afford to fail? Money-wise, they're in a little bit of not in a good way. And Levy cannot get it wrong again. Mourinho cost them a fortune. Mourinho is actually he's picked up 50 million in the last 7 years for being sacked. That's not his wages, that's his sacked money. So what do? The manager is team recruitment, position in the league cut and how they get on in cups, and the sacking costs. That is what it's going to cost you for your manager. How much do they want to spend? Where they're going to get you, and how much it costs to sack them. That's what you've got to look at when buying a manager. Trouble is, you're not when you buy a manager, it's not like buying a footballer, because if you buy a footballer, you've got 25 players. You don't have to play them if they don't work out quite as good. It doesn't ruin your team. If you get the wrong manager, then you're in the what's it, and your team goes right downhill. You cannot afford to get the wrong manager. He could get Spurs relegated next season. It could be as bad as that. But you've got to pick what sort do you want? Do you want a coach or a manager? Do you want like a guy that goes on the football pitch to show the players how to play different styles and what we're going to do and find out their strengths? Or do you want a manager where you leave the job to somebody else to pick to buy the players and create the team of what style you want, whereas the manager just comes in and goes into the dressing room and says, this is how we're doing it, has a look at the players he's got and sends them out to kick the football. What do they want? Do they want a manager or a head coach? Now, Spurs don't have a sporting director. Levy does it. Levy chooses who to buy and who not to. Mr. Manager goes to him and says, I want him. And he says, no, you're not having him. He costs too much. And there's your first little problem. Whoever they pick is going to choose whether they even want the job as to how well they get on with Levy. Now, I do know that Mr. God, last manager, got on with him great to start with, and it soon went downhill. As soon as Levy started picking players that Mourinho didn't want, he wasn't happy. Do you want a short-term winner, or do you want a long-term build a team? Performance consistency. I mean, the last time they were shocking. Do you play young players and build up a team, or do you buy instant success? And do you pick a manager of their playing style to buy players for a playing style, or do you pick young players and create a team to how the manager wants them to play or train them in? So first thing to do is look up all the data, etc., on managers. Well, I've looked up 4. We won't do all 4, but
where's your short list out of interest?
This is. Now, you might have to explain this to me. A Warizing now, I think is his name. He's a sports data scientist. War is in now is his name. War is in now.
He's a data scientist. Was he an actual manager?
No, he's a data scientist. And he supplies these people with how they do it. He measures the ball in threatening positions. Okay. He doesn't measure your goals or defense, etc. He just measures when the ball is in threatening positions in your half and in the opposition's half. He looks at styles of teams. He removes results and just puts in performance and the change over time. So he would look at Mourinho's Spurs and he would look how they went downhill and the chances that they were given and the etc. and their style of play. So he has a look at styles of play of managers. So you look up Graham Potter. They're talking about Graham Potter. He's refused. Said no, he don't want it. But I'm sure if they offered him it really look at it. Now you're not judging Brighton, you're judging Graham Potter. And if you look at his data, he's one of the best coaches in the country. Their chances, the quantity of time the ball is in a position on the pitch to score is massive. And the quantity of time it's in their own half to defend is not very high. Snag is, it don't go in that end and it always goes in that end. But you're not judging Brighton, you're judging Graham Potter on his coaching. And his coaching is brilliant. You cannot say his coaching isn't brilliant. He favours, though, possession, heavy play, lots of build-up, dominating in the final third, rarely relying on long balls. He has faith in young players. And with Harry Kane, they worked out they'd finish about 10th. Just replacing that one player, he should have finished 10th, Brighton. Then they're talking about Brendan Rodgers. He rates highly on short-term success, not like the previous. So if you bring him in, you could start winning stuff almost straight away. He's happy to change styles to fit the players he has, not like Graham Potter, who keeps his style and makes players play his style by coaching young people. This guy buys players, brings them in, and they have to change their style of play to fit his. And then if he hasn't got that, he'll change it. He focuses on creating chances from open play, so it'll fit Son and Kane. You don't need to spend too much money. Since arriving at Leicester, he's only actually had 2 big names leave and hardly brings any players in. And his 2 players that left were Maguire and Chilwell. And the last one I'll give you is Ralph Rangnick.
Who?
The guy at RB Leipzig, he was.
I had no idea what his name is.
He presses high, he counterattacks, he dominates. He's like Bielsa-esque. Yeah, Leeds, he's very similar to how he plays. He dominates whatever the score. If you're 3-0 up, he'll still push for goal number 4. Okay, he gives his players freedom on a football pitch. He doesn't tie them down. Spurs aren't used to that, of course, at the moment, so things would have to change. He wanted to sort out the signings of the young players, not the owner. So the owner would have to give him a bit more power. And he also had the youngest team in Europe. Levy would have to give him a couple of years to build the team. And I'll leave you that 3. That's Spurs and the manager, and this how you pick a manager. So where does he
None
get
of those.
a manager from?
None of those 3 I'd pick.
Who would you pick? Is there anybody out there?
Well, the problem. Right. So what I would certainly do would be Tottenham as a team are not good enough to challenge the current better teams in England. And the chances are they will lose Kane. Therefore, you have to build a team. Problem with that is
Levy doesn't want to get rid of Kane.
He's not going to do that because he thinks he's already got a team, in which they kind of do, apart from a defence. If they improve the defence, then maybe they do have a team, but they do have to keep Kane. If they do that and they want their instant success man, then I think they should get Rafa Benitez. Because I think Benitez is one of the most solid managers out there.
And that's how he works, is it? Does he play with the team he's got, or does he buy a winning team? Because Levy needs to look at money.
Benitez was manager of Newcastle. He doesn't care who he's got. He will get results for teams.
So he'd work well with a team with no cash.
Yeah. Mate, at Newcastle, he had nothing, and they finished 10th. I know it's a different matter when going up against the top teams in England. In saying that, I don't think whoever they get would be good enough. I don't think Tottenham as a team are good enough. I think that they're going to go on a roller coaster downhill, Tottenham, because they do not have the longevity of their team. Kane he has to leave. If you're Harry Kane, you have to leave. They just don't have a solid enough foundation, and I don't trust in Levy. So I think they'll be a mid-table team soon enough, I think. But if you want your instant success man, which they're going to have to need if they want to persist as a top 6 Premier League team,
that's all. That's what they need next year. They need to the top 6.
They need some sort of success, and I think I don't see many other managers out there other than Benitez who's going to get you instant success. Rather than build a team.
So you see, the financial strain on them is they're 175 million in debt. And whatever Mourinho's cost them, I don't know that. So possibly bringing in new players. The only way to do that is sell Kane. So whichever manager they pick, if that manager wants to buy anybody, that's again how they're going to have to look at managers and how much the manager costs. In fact, can they afford it? And Levy, as much as everybody's jumping up and down, is not going to leave. He's been there 20 years. He owns 85% of the club, and he has put more than £2 billion into that club. He is not going to walk away. He's just built a brand new stadium, for goodness sake. He's going to want a bit of money back from that stadium. And he can't do that until they're allowed to have fans in it. And he hasn't had for long, because the money coming in is going to be from that stadium. Because he's not going to be used for football, of course, but he's not had a chance to get his money back.
No.
So it's all based, where you. So you think? Do you reckon Benitez go for the job?
I think he said recently he wants a job back in England. Whether he would go for someone like Tottenham, I don't know. It'll be very, very interesting to see who they get. I think they may get a random Spanish coach, like the Valencia manager, for example, or the Villarreal manager, or someone like that. Oh, that's Emery, they won't get him. But they just don't have many options at the moment. Unless they try and draw someone away from another club. Like you said, Brendan Rodgers, he ain't leaving Leicester. Why would he? There's no need.
Who I was just using managers that sort of are different in style to show, how you pick a manager, and you can't just pick a name. You've got to pick a style of, and then see what you got. But as we've said, there aren't a lot out there, really, are there?
No. They've looked at the Ajax manager who signed a contract.
Yeah, he just signed a contract. Yeah,
there's quite a few they've looked at who they will not get. There's no chance.
So, who's going to come in from the cold out of their team then? You've got, because Adebayor actually was in Spurs once upon a time. Did you know that? He was in 13-14. He was at Spurs, and he was forced to play with the under-23s, and he had one game with Villas-Boas, was it? He came on for 5 minutes as a sub once. And then when Sherwood took over, he played 24 out of 28 games, scored 14 goals. And then he then gave Kane a go and was given six games at the end of the season. And that's where Kane come from, that period of time. Then 7 years on, we've got Dele Alli. What do they do with him?
Bought him from MK Dons.
Dele Alli?
As in, where does he come from?
No, what do they do with him?
What do they do with him now?
No, do they sell him, keep him?
He hasn't done anything for 2 years.
Hasn't played.
No, I don't think they can sell him because I don't think anyone's going to want him. I guess you keep him. I guess you keep him and try and get him back to what he was, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to do that.
Does Gareth Bale stay? Because they're both similar. And if you've got one, you don't need the other.
I think they've said that Bale isn't staying. He's going back to Madrid.
I feel sorry for Dele Alli. Once upon a time, he was Mr. It, and he was just dropped by Mourinho. And now it
was before Mourinho, though. This is the thing. It was before Mourinho that he had his decline, and then he just hasn't had a look in since.
Harry Winks.
Average at best.
He's had 7 starts this season.
Yeah. He's an okay midfielder. He's not great, though. He's not top 4. He could play for Crystal Palace.
I'd say these people worth making your money on. The other one is Stephen. Is it Stephen
Bergwijn.
Bergwijn.
Yeah.
You see, Song looks really tired and knackered.
Son has looked really depressed recently as well.
Well, he was crying, wasn't he, on the pitch?
Yeah, after the League Cup. I'm not sure. I mean, everyone's talking about Kane leaving. Who's to say that Son won't leave either? I mean, teams like Liverpool should be having a look at Son. I think Bayern are looking at Son. Like, there's every chance he could leave as well. But I think Levy will be stubborn and try and keep at least one of them.
I think if Kane and Son leave, they need a manager that builds a football team over a period of time with the young players. And therefore, you pick the manager that does that. You don't pick a Mourinho that uses just buys the stars.
Do they have time to be able to pick someone like that?
Well, this is the other big problem, isn't it? Because they're already broke, and so is money. I think they were a bit unlucky that. I mean, Son at the end of the league final looked broken, didn't he? He was in pain. But they were a bit unlucky in that in that game, it was Kane's first game back after an ankle injury, and funnily enough, it was exactly the same in the Champions League. That they rely so much. I think they've got to rebuild and take their time. But see, Mourinho didn't have a plan of any sort. Instant success was his plan, and there was nothing else.
I didn't get it.
I mean, they're in a worse place now than they were 2 years ago after the Champions League final.
Yeah, I just don't see how they're going to be able to overtake City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United. It's a very long road to get up to those four. Leicester, even.
I think they're not going to keep hold of Kane. They're not going to keep hold of that team as it is. And I think it needs a whitewash. I think you need a manager that spends a little bit of time. And I think Mr. Owner, I'm afraid if he wants superstardom, he is going to have to put his hand in his pocket again. And I think he's got to come to realise that either he does that or he has a mid-table team for now and stop buying instant success and just play it out. Liverpool did that with Klopp. Took the time.
2 or 3 seasons until we won something.
And they might end up having to do it again shortly.
Yeah.
But that's how you do it. You're either Manchester City and can go out there and just pick who you want when you feel like it, or you're not. And Tottenham aren't, I don't think. And I think Mourinho proved that.
It's got to be a big hand in Levy's pocket as well.
And I don't think he can do it.
There's a lot wrong with that team.
There is a lot wrong with that team. Yeah, I agree. I wanted to talk about the 50+1, but we're going to not. That'll be for next week, along with the other clubs going down with Wycombe. I wanted to explain to people when everybody's jumping up and down about the 50+1 thing of owning a club. I wanted to go into what is good and what is bad and explain the finer details so that people actually do understand why a lot of Germany love it and a lot of Germany is going to hold Germany back, and that they won't catch Premier League football because of. And it's a question of what you're prepared for. And can I just say now about that 50+1 is the reason for that means that Bayern Munich win every year. And I'll explain why all that 50+1 holds all the other teams back. And one is raking it in. And if people are happy that they're going to end up with one team dominating for years, and then 50+1 is a great idea. And I'm going to explain that next week. With that, I think we give it a go. We finish that. I mean, that's been over an hour. and good hour and 15 minutes, in fact.
Yeah.
It's those two topics. But we had to spend time on Wycombe, didn't we?
Absolutely.
So Kieran, that was Wycombe and Tottenham, very similar, except Wycombe are better. And Kieran, say goodbye.
See you later.
Navigator. Bye, everybody.